And welcome back to another episode of JP and the Beanstalk.
Oh, come hither.
Got to center that a little
Here
bit.
we are in friggin' Asgard for the TVA, wherever we would choose to be, really. We can go wherever we want at any time. It's great.
Yeah. It's
fantastic.
True. It's very true.
Hey, we're here. We chose to be here. That's great. You with your Bud Latte, me with my mug of warm tap water.
It's a good thing none of us are claustrophobic with how tight of a space this is.
No,
but
we're just eating the beef sandwich right now. It's great.
We're making it work. And that's what matters.
Look at these two handsome slices of bread on either side of us. Come on.
It's true.
It's clearly homemade. Let's go. How much further can I take the metaphor?
Keep going.
It's warm.
I think you can do something with some deli meats in there as well.
Appropriate density. Love it. Look at this. We got Dillon. We got Sol.
Come on.
We did it again.
We're back.
Can't get better. Oops. This is our last pod. This is it. This is it. This is how we go out. This is it.
Well, it's time to say some crazy shit.
Let's do it. So I've been thinking about what could I ask the group to kind of, do the usual random question of the pod. I would like to know from each of you, if you were to travel to a different time, different universe, and see a variant of yourself, what would you hope to see? Right? What would you see and go, that's great. You know what? That Sol really got it figured out.
Yeah.
That Beans crushed it. That Dillon's doing well. That JP, still sad, but there it is. What would it be? What would it be? Really no wrong answers. Really none. Sol, I'm going to put you on the spot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have
you
to
go first.
My first thought was I would love to see a version of myself, like, just surviving in the woods.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that would be like, because that's, that's like every guy asks themselves, like, you think I could, like, survive if I was just, like, in the woods with nothing? Yeah. And so I'm just like, I think it'd be awesome to, like, yes. I am a man. That's right. Yes. That would be the goal.
See, I do that in the same spot, and I just find my dead body. Maybe like, how long was this guy out here?
Yep.
2 hours.
You were the only
like, this is accurate. Yes.
It's phenomenal. Dillon, what about you, man?
Ooh, I don't know why this comes to mind, but I think of just me, but just like 300 pounds and just like a fullback in the NFL. They call me the beef.
300-pound
the beef Quake
is crazy.
Is what they'd call me, and I would average.
This is so well fleshed out.
I would average about a touchdown a game.
Yes.
Because they'd always give it to me on the goal line.
Yes.
And so everyone would get
the stands would just be
the
fans would be jumping in the stands to create the Quake.
Yeah. It's probably a 9.5 on the Richter scale every time I score kind of thing. So just kind of low-key stuff.
Just, a low-key 300-pound fullback.
Yeah.
Super low-key.
5'9".
With the modest nickname of Beef Quake. As wide as he is tall. That's incredible.
5'9".
Truly, the girth would just be unbelievable. Oh, okay, Beans. What about you?
Well, my head goes to like the 1800s. Jack the Ripper's roaming the streets.
Okay.
And Sherlock Holmes, is on the case of solving the murders.
Wow.
Yeah. And then obviously Arthur Conan Doyle sees me and is like, I'm writing a book on that guy. And then, Batman comes out of it.
Sure.
And I mean,
you're really
I'm a legend.
Hero. You're the origin of all of the heroes that have come since.
I like that idea. Yes. Yes. Because who wouldn't want to be a legend?
That's really good. Yeah. If I could see a variant of myself at one point in time, I would be J.K. Rowling, except the dude version. So Jordan, middle initial K, Rowling, just crushing the Harry Potter series, and people are like, this guy's one phenomenal author. Written the best children's book series of all time. Book series of all time. That'd be phenomenal. I'd have a tweed jacket with the elbow guards.
So you'd hot tub time machine it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Instead of making Google, you'd be making Harry Potter.
That's right.
Children's novels.
That's right. 100%. That would be. I'd be like, wow, that's good. Good on you, bud. You did it. You did it. There's my dream. There it is. That's great. Well, these versions of ourselves are all here, which is phenomenal. So we get to chat on the last 2 episodes of Loki season 2, which is very exciting. A lot of meat on that bone. And of course, the Loki series as a whole, to the best of our knowledge, has included. And so it's a great opportunity to talk about the experience that was that show. What a masterpiece. Any dissenting opinions will not be welcome. We all also went and saw the Marvels together and separately in some weird way. And so I think there will be dissenting opinions on that topic, which is super exciting.
Real quick, did you two go separately then?
Yeah.
Because I thought you were going to go together.
We were.
And then you went individually?
Yes.
Fantastic. Really great.
Yeah.
Really
I went at like 10 last night. It was
There's no chance I was doing that. No chance.
real rough.
Welcome to podcasting. You have to watch movies you don't necessarily want to watch in time, but you do it anyways because you have to.
I was the only one in the theater just
yes.
sadly eating popcorn.
I think the only one I'm not going to... I think the only one... Well, we do have trailers and stuff, too. Are we going to save those?
We have to save them. We have to save them. There are so many trailers we could discuss.
Yeah. So
we can list them off, right? Craven.
I still haven't watched that new trailer.
Legitimately, there was a trailer. Madam Web or Madame Web.
That's one I'm not going to force anyone to go see.
I
didn't realize that was going to be a movie. That's throwing me off a little bit. It's the fact that they decided.
Don't think about it.
Yeah,
trust me. Little spoiler for where we're going to go, but you open your heart a little bit to the Marvels. Maybe open your heart to this one.
No, I'll open my heart to Craven. I will not open my heart.
Okay.
Did you see that? Did you see that ugly Spider-Man costume? That's not Spider-Man, but it's like it's Spider-Man. Okay.
Save it for another pod.
I'm saying,
what if season 2 dropped another trailer as well?
That looks dope.
Yep. I feel like there's a 4th trailer that I'm
I kind of just want to keep baiting you into these other conversations.
No, it's great.
Because, like, did you see, like, the different version of the Avengers?
It's a 4-hour
Because it was pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie.
Right. So there's a lot of topics to cover, but we'll save it.
Pedro Pascal.
We guys talk about...
That's right.
Fantastic
Four.
I think it was confirmed. I don't even know if
No, it's not confirmed. It's rumored.
I saw a lot of comic book Instagram.
No. Because somebody else was like, what if the rumor was this, but he's actually up for Doctor Doom? Because I saw that too. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Oh, neither.
No, I really am holding out for Cillian Murphy for Dr.
Oh my
Doom.
gosh.
Interesting.
It's pronounced Killian.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Beefquake over your nose. Beefquake speaks the truth.
What would you expect of his nickname? That's what he wants to be nicknamed.
That's fair. It's a self-nickname.
Yeah.
Those always go so well.
So there's so many options, but we're going to keep it focused on the 2 beefiest of quakiest topics, the Loki, the Marvels. Now, I propose that we start with the Marvels, because I think we could and should go on with Loki for as long as humanly possible.
This is true.
We should bring ourselves in the TVA, allow time to stand still, and just soak it in. So why don't we dive into the Marvels? All right. In general, let's just take, a little pulse of the room, room temp check here. What did y'all think? Just general thoughts. Dylan, you go first.
Oh, so, as we talked about, I went to a 3:10 showing of Marvels right after class.
Good job.
So you didn't even have a crowd with you.
No,
neither did we, but it's
there
fine,
was
though.
one lady who laughed at every joke right behind me.
Wow.
So kudos for her.
Were you laughing with her?
No.
Okay.
I was not. I was like, I probably should be more lighthearted and this girl's like having the time of her life back here, and I'm just like grumpy old man. So I was like, I should change my perspective.
Yes. Join me.
But I had very low expectations going into this. This trailer. So the trailer for Marvels was like the only trailer for like 3 months during the summer. Every movie I saw, the Marvels trailer it was there every time, and I was like, not watching this. Absolutely not watching this. But in respect to the pod, I did not watch an explanation YouTube video to get caught up on it.
He gets a text from me, and he's like, shit!
He tried to watch
I tried.
YouTube video.
I tried. But I did. I went in, and it met my expectations in the fact that it was bad. So, I was texting Saul this morning. There's some parts that were good that I was entertained by. I think when they kind of congruently found their rhythm, it was pretty cool to watch the fight sequence. And then, I mean, the like singing people was a little weird, but I thought,
that's a disconnect for some.
Yeah, they're reaching, but I thought it was cool that there was multiple,
they're trying
different perspectives. They're trying, and then also just the idea of like opening portals to different dimensions is intriguing. Mm-hmm. And then the end credit scene, as we saw, was, impactful. Yeah. So that's my consensus.
There you go. Good. We'll come back to that. Riley.
Oh, you want to go right?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think?
So I posted my review.
You did.
And I was like, ooh. Because I said it was better than Moon Knight. And people were like, this is better than Moon Knight? You're crazy. And I'm like, do you guys remember Moon Knight? Because the fight scenes in the Marvels were 10 times better. Do you want to know why?
They existed.
Exactly. They didn't black out and were like, what happened? And then the villain's just dead on the ground. That didn't happen here. It's crazy. The fight scenes were fantastic. I think they nailed the fight scenes. I think the relationship between the three characters were great. Yeah. I think coming out of this movie, I want to see more of each of them. And I did not picture myself ever saying that, because if you remember my take on the first Captain Marvel, I would have said, I don't want to see Brie Larson's Captain Marvel ever again. And here we are. I'm like,
a tough thing in the 1980s.
Like, you know what? I can do it. I can do it. And Spectrum, I've been a fan of hers since she came in. And Miss Marvel, Loki, coming in, I was like, I didn't think she was going to be the MVP character-wise. I came out of that, I'm like,
Kamala Khan, man.
She nailed it. Like, that is 100% comic book accurate, and she's the one still correcting everybody. So she's like the on-set nerd. Like they said, everybody was coming to her for questions on continuity, and they also said...
Truly cool. Truly cool.
Fantastic. Yeah. And she's also like going up against Kevin Feige saying, this is not Earth 616. This is Earth 1999, which is hilarious that she's fighting him on it. Okay. It's great. Also, fun fact, she is currently writing the Miss Marvel comic book series. Fun fact.
Good on her.
Yes. Wow. So, either way, I was very impressed with her.
Yeah.
Would love to see more of her.
Yeah, you can see more of her.
I'm half tempted. I'm honest to God.
Is there a Disney Plus show that a person could watch?
Honest to God. If her superpowers were actually comic book accurate and not this light shit, I'd be in 100%.
Yeah.
But here we are. So, I don't know. I'm tempted. Probably won't, but I'm tempted.
I mean, I've seen it, and it's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's not
You watched it?
Yeah.
You watched the full thing, though?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did, and it was pretty. I really like that actress. She does a really good job.
She did nail it.
Yeah.
But so I was coming in like Dillon, very low, no expectations. I was like, this movie's gonna suck.
Yeah.
It's gonna be poo. And then it was an inner battle, because as I was watching this movie, it's like, am I liking this? It's like, am I liking this? This is stupid. I'm liking this, aren't I? And then there were a couple scenes, with like the singing.
That was tough. Yeah, that was.
I don't know if you remember looking over at me. I was like, oh.
Yes.
I did that for that and for the cats.
Oh, dude,
I hate that I liked it, but here we are. So before I take up any more time,
that's great.
I will pass the buck.
That's great. Saul, where are you at with it?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I would say. I don't think it was like a great. Like, I don't know that I'll rewatch it with any expectation of coming back like, this is so sick. But I had a ton of fun, and I did think that Kamala, she brought out a different side of Captain Marvel that I thought was really cool.
Yes.
And she carried. I laughed at every one of her lines. I thought she was really funny, and her character seems very genuine, and I think it's really cool. And I mean, the fight scenes, I told Dillon this, this was really good.
It was.
I had a lot of fun watching the fight scenes, and once they figured that out, And I honestly think Miss Marvel's like powers are just really fun to watch.
Yes.
And there's a few really funny scenes.
She'll project the stepping stones.
Yeah. And it just was like the way that they used those powers was like something that I never would have like thought they would have used that way. And it was really cool.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a great movie, but I enjoyed myself.
Yeah. I came out of it in a more similar place to Riley than you, Dill. Excuse me, Beef Quake. And in the sense that I went, okay, I like that more than I thought I was going to. I wasn't overly enthusiastic about it. I agree. I thought the fight choreography was great. But as I was trying to like contextualize it and go, how do I really feel about this? It just reminded me so much of coming out of either of, I guess, any of the 3 Ant-Man movies, where probably the first 2 more so than the third, because the third Ant-Man movie, of course, fleshed out Kang the Conqueror a little bit more. So there was more than just Ant-Man going on. But I remember when they announced that Ant-Man was coming out, and I was genuinely upset. Like, come on, this guy really? Why? And then I saw the movie, and I realized, okay, sure, yep, that it's not necessarily. I'm not going to go, this is awesome. I want to watch it 3, 4, 5 times, but I didn't waste my time there. That was good. This movie was in a similar spot to me. Like, if you look at it a little too, the closer you get to it, the more you go, ooh, that's really thin. That wasn't fleshed out particularly well from a storytelling perspective. But at least, like, with the 3 primary heroines, I thought they redeemed. I didn't know they were going to. The character of Captain Marvel, in a sense of like, I'll watch that character, because they tried so hard when they introduced her character in her initial solo movie to make her just this overpowered, just freak of nature. It's like, we haven't had any time with her, any mileage. We've had time with Thor, with Hulk, with Iron Man, with all these other extraordinarily powerful characters, and yet we're kind of being forced fed that no, this one's the most powerful. It's like, but why? Because she is. No. And that whole tone, it's like when someone walks into a room and they want you to believe that they're the coolest person in the room, right? It's like, I don't give a hoot, man. And so I really appreciated that they got away from that tone. Like, she was humanized. She was humbled by her failures. That was a lot more accessible and worthwhile to me. So I'm glad, because her character is going to be around for a while, right? So if she's going to be around, you want her to be worthwhile. Kamala Khan, great, whole different type of energy. I'll be fascinated to see if it feels like they're leaning into the Young Avengers with her character, which is fine. And Spectrum, that was great as well. So I thought the character piece of it was really strong. The fight scenes were unexpectedly really good, like really well choreographed. It was creative in that sense. They did the villain dirty, killed her off like another freaking judge just gets obliterated at the end of their movie by what? Oh, I'm sorry, too much power again. Yep, he did the same thing as Ronan. Didn't learn the lesson. Just slapped on both gauntlets and
I didn't even think about
deuces. It happened. I was like, oh, so that was there's plenty to not, to not like. Again, if you look a little closely. But overall, it was better than I thought it was going to be, because my expectations were super low. Yeah, no question. What other specific details did you like or not like? Right, we've kind of hit broad spectrum. What other takeaways do you have from this? Because there's some setup here too, right? Not a long movie, but end credit scene, big deal as it turns out. Anybody want to take that one?
You want to go down the end credit route?
We could, unless you got other things you want to hit on in particular with Marvel.
The beautiful end credit route. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that end credit! First of all, spoilies. In case anybody's wondering, it's spoilies. But again, at this point, it's been a week. And let's be real, you probably haven't watched it. So, and you're probably not gonna watch it. So, either way, Spectrum. Yeah. Obviously, she's on the other side. She's repairing the hole in space-time. And she's like, I knew I wasn't coming back. And they had that weird, Adam and Eve grab, and then they miss. It's like, no, she's gone, she's dead, or whatever. And then post-credit scene, she wakes up in a hospital bed, and it's her mom, but it's not her mom. But it looks like her mom because it is her mom, but it's a different version.
That would mess with you a
but
little
it's a different version of her mom that doesn't have cancer and isn't dead. So, and then after that, it's Beast from the X-Men. Kelsey Grammer, no doubt. Beast.
Dropping in
CGI, not live.
Right.
You know? And then, yeah, it was really good. He's like, oh, let me go talk to Charles. So it's like all the X-Men are established. I'm super excited. It's great. And I'm assuming, they didn't say it, but she's got to be that version's Captain Marvel, right? Her mom and that got to be Captain Marvel, right?
I truly don't know.
I assumed you guys would know the suit. I didn't.
I was assuming it was just a different version of Captain Marvel because we've already seen her as a different version of Captain Marvel.
I've seen other characters mentioned, but to me, the Captain Marvel piece would make the most sense because you're absolutely right. That actress was a different version of Captain Marvel in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. So it'd be a little weird if they went, but possible, I guess, if they went some kind of mutant instead of Captain Marvel. But that actress is also was in the most recent James Bond movie. Phenomenal. Kicks tail.
Yeah,
my goodness. Yeah. But where do you see it going from the end credits point of view, you guys? I mean, it's been this like carrot way at the end of this extraordinarily frustratingly long stick for so long, like the X-Men are coming. Where should we genuinely put our hopes at this point as far as, hey, they're coming, how soon? And what are we actually going to get?
I think it's coming soon because I think it's an alley-oop to Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
I think it's an absolute, they're like, hey, Deadpool, see what you do with this.
So is it selfish of me to want more than the Deadpool 3? Because I know Deadpool 3 is coming, and I don't just want it to be Deadpool 3 and then it's like a tease and that's all we get for 3 years.
Right. And here's the thing. It's like, there's not much going on right now in between.
Yeah.
Like, it would be kind of cool if they hinted at it in What If. Mm-hmm. I don't think they are. So you're looking at, like...
Yeah, what is kind of self-contained?
What's in between? Echo? Yeah. We're probably not getting mutants in Echo. Because we're going to be getting Daredevil and Kingpin back and being established, which is fantastic.
Sure.
But, like... We don't have really much in between. Afterwards, I think the doors are wide open.
Yeah.
Because I think Deadpool 3 is going to crack it even further. And, I mean, we can talk about Loki a little bit too, but, like, I think they're finally, like, because, you know, we've gotten hints at the multiverse with Doctor Strange and with all these others, and now we have an actual person in a different universe. Mm-hmm. And so, does she pop up in Doctor Strange 3? Because Doctor Strange already said that they're dealing with all the conversions, so all the universes coming in together.
Right.
Loki already established that, hey, you know, we've got it maintained for now, but we still have to get rid of all of the other Kangs. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really know where they're going to go with it. Yeah. And I feel like I just kind of rambled for a little bit. But my point is, like, after Deadpool 3, I don't really know what they're going to do. And I don't think they're going to be coming to full play until Kang Dynasty, to be honest with you.
Think it'll be that long road?
Yeah. I think it'll be hints here and there. I think they'll show, and I think there'll be little things like Beast. And I don't think they'll be a big factor until Kang Dynasty when they're like, everybody's together.
Okay.
Wolverine.
Beef Quake, what say you? I'm using that. That's the rest of the time.
Yeah, that was
the rest of your life.
That was on the dome. I don't know where I got that.
That's great. Lean into it.
It's a great question. I don't know. I think, to Riley's point, I think the way that they've done it, like, especially like you look at Deadpool 1 and 2, they've used like Cyclops. Yeah. Right, Cyclops, is that his name? It's not Cyclops. Colossus.
Yep. Another sea guy.
Cyclops is the guy with the...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Colossus, which is my favorite X-Men.
As he should be. Appropriate for a Beefquake.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But they've like teased him, and obviously now you've got... Well, because Fox got bid out. So you've got that going on. Plus, you know, you've got Beast coming up. I think Riley's right in the fact that it's probably going to be little hints here and there. The question I have is, do you think that there's a possibility that they don't do a movie in 116? It's or one. What's the or
616.
616. Sorry.
Right.
Do you think that they would transition to another universe and like have that universe be the focal point for a movie? Or I don't think they will, but is that a possibility?
That's a great idea. I'd be all for it. I don't think they will, but I would be all for it.
Yeah.
You can see Deadpool 3 being that way, though, where they're hopping through a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, they got to figure out a way to bring back Hugh Jackman, whether it be at a different point in time or before, like, where are they pulling Wolverine from? Is that just going to be a totally different Wolverine?
Yeah.
But to me, I think that's where that comes into play. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than just one. I could see it being a couple different ones, because I would not put it past them to throw in the old school Fantastic Four and just be like, hey, here's some more Fantastic Four guys for you.
Ian Gruffield, welcome back, my friend.
I was amazing. Right?
Sweet
so,
friends.
Yeah.
It's Ryan Reynolds. He's going to take shots where he can take shots, and he's not going to hold back. And Marvel's not going to care if they're taking shots at the Fox universe.
Also true. So, what do you think?
I mean, similar to the other opinions, I don't think they should do anything crazy until after Secret Wars.
Okay.
Just because I feel like there's like so much going on right now that's so hard to manage, and so throwing in like another big chunk of stuff just seems like it's probably not the right move.
Right.
It feels like even the multiverse stuff, I feel like we haven't gotten like a substantial amount of like multiverse content. And it's like all trying to build up to this thing. So it's like, let's just not throw it. Let's just finish this first.
Yes.
And focus on what we're doing now. And then let's have some fun and introduce things that you have more time to think about and make sure you're doing the right way. Because obviously we've seen them not do things the right way. Yeah. Because they're rushed.
Oh, right. And they're trying to do too much. Like just the sheer quantity, the volume is way too high, right?
Yeah.
To do well. And that's a tough balance to find. But if you're willing, and I'd like to think that they're course correcting a little bit here. We'll get into this a little more later, but I totally agree. They don't need to just hurry into it. What I think they could and should do is incorporate like a character or two of the X-Men into the existing groups, right? You don't even need to say, oh, you're part of the X-Men, right? Just have this person or persons be involved. They've got the powers. Right. And then several years from now, then you can start unfolding and opening the X-Men doors, right? Yeah. It's like, there's this group, right? But yeah, you don't need to introduce all of the X-Men as a group, but let's just see, like, pick one or two of the characters. I mean, shoot, pick a male and a female and go, you guys are in. So the dudes have a cool, male X-Men to check out. The chicks have a female X-Men character that's badass. Like, let's get them in there. Yeah. But that would be phenomenal, right? To see that. And then there's always more to come.
Oh, for sure.
It's always like on that level. Cause what my head goes to is like Gambit's level of influence in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't have him too much. He was there and he was great. Yeah. And we wanted more of him and we never got more of him, unfortunately. But I mean, can you imagine if they would have done that? Like, imagine Chadwick Boseman still being alive. And they're like, you know what? Let's give him Storm.
Yep.
Those two together. Yeah. Power couple. Yeah. That is Jay-Z and Beyonce of the Marvel Universe, okay? Those guys are like top tier. But, Yeah. So I agree.
Yeah. There's certainly potential there. How soon do you think we're going to get Young Avengers? Like you've got Hawkeye. I don't even know what to call her. Like it's Kate Bishop.
It's Kate Bishop.
She's Kate Bishop. We have Kamala Khan. Are there any other candidates at this point?
They mentioned who's the third girl. They mentioned.
I'm trying to think.
It was she's already established.
Well, there's America Chavez.
There you go.
They didn't mention her though.
Right?
Yeah, there's one more.
They mentioned.
In the movie, they mentioned someone.
Yes, they said, "Hey, we need to go. Okay. We need to go get this
Talk
chick."
To someone else.
Let me go look.
Okay, it wasn't Black Widow's sister, right?
No, it wasn't her. No.
Okay, not Echo. Well, I'm drawing from
those are like the new, they've only introduced female characters of this next generation, which I think is interesting. I was thinking about that earlier today.
Cassie Lang.
There you go.
It was Stature.
Yeah.
Sure, Stature. Okay.
Yes. So those were the three.
Yeah.
I think personally we're still a little ways out because I think we still need a couple more guys in there.
Mhm.
Personally, I'd like to see Miles Morales. Personally, I think they need some dudes in there. You know,
Didn't they just confirm a Miles Morales movie recently?
Who
Or
knows?
is that kind of lost?
We ignore Sony. Whatever Sony does, we just ignore. They're not real.
Shouldn't have said it.
They're not real. They are in their own universe, mentally and.
Madam Webb would have words with you, sir.
Well,
As
she can
Morbius.
see into the future.
Well, I think it's fascinating to get a glimpse at how the sausage is being made, right? Because you guys are of a certain generation and age bracket. I'm a little bit above in year. Okay, all right, a little bit. Give it to me. All right, a good, huge freaking leap above.
Back in my day.
But I think what I can't help but think about with the Young Avengers piece is that Marvel, and this makes a lot of sense. I give them credit for this. They're recognizing that, okay, they've got your age bracket and my age bracket that came into this Marvel world at a certain point, and we're now progressing further down the line with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going, hey, we need to like kind of find a way to come back and capture that teen group, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a big part of what Young Avengers is geared towards, right? So, I mean, I might still watch it, but part of the, I don't know if expansion is the right word for it or not, but they're still going to try and grow like they are. Like, this is just what businesses do, right? They're like, how can we make even more money? Even though they're already printing their own freaking money. So they don't have to, but they're going, how can we capture this market? So it makes sense from a business point of view to go, hey, we need to make sure we're getting that intro, young group so that that set of teens can grow with these characters as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I personally would like to see the roster.
Yeah.
So far, I'm like, okay, Miss Marvel, I'm in. Kate Bishop, I didn't mind her. I'm cool with it. I liked her more with Black Widow
Agreed.
than I did with anyone else. So I'm like, okay.
With the original Hawkeye.
Right. I can see her and Miss Marvel hitting it off. Cassie, I didn't mind Cassie. So we're 3 for 3.
Yep.
But I mean, we need some
dudes
firepower because there's like some
there.
regular people
Mhm.
and like personally, I think there's a missed opportunity if they don't have Iron Lad in there.
Okay.
Because he is a younger version of Kang
Mhm.
who's like, oh, when I grow up, I turn into that. I don't want to turn into that, so I'm going to be Iron Lad. So I think that would be a really good way to get him involved.
Yeah.
Because there's some good storytelling that could happen there as well. So it was great in the comics from what I understand. So, and we could use another Iron Man.
There you go.
So,
What is the comic scene for Young Justice? Is there like does it have its own, series or?
Yeah, so the first Young Avengers,
Mhm.
it was, so Wanda's twins are two of the main people. So it's like Wiccan and, what's the Quicksilver version? Whatever. There's another one. And then,
Quicken.
yeah, sure. And then, I know they had Hulkling in there, which is like a scroll, but he takes on the form of the Hulk.
Yep.
And then, Jeepers, I want to say,
They had a kid and there was like the son of Satan or something super intense and dark. It's like, oh wow, that's your origin. It's like, yikes.
Interesting.
I am pretty sure Cassie
Tough hang.
was in there as well.
Maybe it's the son of Ares, but still, the point stands.
Yeah.
It's still like, whoa, dial it back.
Not an appealing heritage.
Dial it back. But I also know in the newer iteration, it was Miss Marvel, Miles Morales. There's a younger version of Cyclops that was with the team for a little bit.
Sure.
Amadeus chose Hulk, which I don't know. He goes by Braun, I think now. Fun. And then, so they have lots to choose from. I think they're dumb if they don't include Miles, personally. I think that's just too easy of money, but I can also see how difficult that will be to obtain.
You say Amadeus Cho?
Yes.
He's Hulk?
Yes.
I thought he was like Iron Spider for a little bit.
Maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
He's definitely Hulk, though.
All right.
Gotta pick a lane.
But he calls
Hulk.
himself Brawn because he's like Hulk's taken.
No beef Quake. No beef Quake.
Yeah, he like stole his powers from Bruce for a little bit.
Help.
So yeah,
Weak.
One thing I feel like they're running out of time. You know what I mean? Like by the time they get, what they say? Kate Bishop's 23.
Yep.
And
to actually like be the Young Avengers.
Yeah, and like by the time Kamala gets there, like she'll be in her 20s.
Yeah.
So it's called lying.
I know.
They just lie. Did you ever watch a Netflix show and be like, those guys aren't 14? And then you find out on IMDb he's 33, and you're like, well, that makes sense.
It's old man.
It's fine. He just has to have that paper that says I am 12, and it'll all work.
Just pull the bench $20 bill in there.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts in 21 Jump Street where they try and pose as high schoolers, and all the high schoolers are just calling them out like, you guys are clearly cops.
I legit one strapped it forever because I thought I was so cool.
I
never double strapped. Yeah, I'm serious. In high school.
Then you see the part where they're like, everyone's double strapping right now.
Yeah, but I was a big fan of Channing Tatum. So
how can you not be? How can you not be? Yeah, that's good. All right, let's transition from the Marvels into the main force, Loki. We've had a chance, all of us now, to watch episodes 5 and 6 since last JP and the Beans potted, and so now, of course, we've grown to the quad group, which is great. Obviously, big picture, we'll talk Loki. I mean, does anyone want to just excuse themselves by saying it wasn't good, or is everybody in agreement that it was great?
It was amazing.
Okay, good. That's a test you all passed. So we're going to kind of dive in a little deep, and we'll scale back a little bit. Let's recap. So episode 5, right, comes off the cliffhanger that was episode 4, where our dear sweet Victor Timely is being sent out to try and remedy the loom. And I remember watching that episode 4, I mean, and going, well, sure, yeah, it's going to work. It's going to fix it, and we'll see what comes next. And instead, he's turned into human spaghetti, which was incredible. Incredible. What a move. What a move. And so then we get episode 5, not knowing what we're going to find, right? And it turns out Loki has time slipped. It takes a little while to figure that out, but he's time slipping multiple times. And we get to look at the variants that were Mobius, OB, B-15, and Casey allegedly before they got pulled into the TVA. So it was really fascinating to see all of those characters. But to then see Loki, and I'm going to pat myself in the back here. I called it. He was going to figure out how to control the time slipping. So point for the old man. Thank you.
So annoying.
Got it.
But you did call it. I respect it.
That's right. That's right.
Sometimes like, no, they're done with it. They're done with it.
Yep. So before we move on to episode 6, let's dwell on episode 5 a little bit, because we get to the end of the episode and Loki has found a way to control the time slipping, and he has that heartfelt line of dialogue. It's not it's not the what or the when, it's the who. So it's the relationships that matter to our guy Loki. But where if you guys can put yourselves, time slip yourselves, good one, back to when you watched episode 5 before episode 6. What did you think of episode 5? If we can just kind of dwell on that in a vacuum for a little bit. Where were you at with episode 5? Saul, you go first.
Gosh, I'm trying to not get into episode 6.
I know
everything.
Yep. It all flows together.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just
like
remember,
spaghetti.
I remember really enjoying seeing how the different dynamics of each character actually affected where they started, and seeing where Obi's from and how he still lives in the same place that he was in the thing. Yeah,
right? His home is definitely his office in the TVA. It's this is the same place.
And Mobius riding the jet skis finally, it's just so fun to see them kind of do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I think was interesting, I think it really the relationship Loki had between him and each of those characters shined.
Yes,
in that, because before it's we're just a group of people trying to accomplish one mission. But it's oh no, these are his really good friends. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was just really cool to see that aspect of it.
Yep.
And I feel that was what the main goal of like the episode was to like pull the pieces together and be like, okay, Loki really loves these people.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was just a cool, cool purpose of the episode.
Yeah, really doubled down on the relationships for sure. For sure. Be quick.
No, I'd agree with that. That's a good point. I never thought about it that way. But yeah, it's so interesting to go from the first point of Loki season 1, and I guess this is a broader statement.
Yeah.
But just to see where his perspective it was and now where he is, just like even going into season 2, we could see his relationship with Mobius. Even the way that he treats Victor Timely, even though he knows that he's a variant of Kang.
Yeah.
He treats him with kindness, which is not Loki's thing.
Especially this Loki, right?
Yes,
this
exactly.
is Avengers Loki, extraordinarily self-centered. Everybody's going, hey, I'm just going to be the guy. Like, I'm going to conquer. I'm going to rule this world as I should. Yeah. Wild.
So it is cool just to see like those relationships build and him kind of just like soften his heart to those relationships. I thought, I think the highlights, obviously Mobius gets his jet ski, we've been waiting for it.
He gets his moment.
And he has kids too, which I think he's a great dad. So that's just a real wholesome.
How can he not be?
Exactly. So that's definitely a shining moment. But I think at the end of episode 5, I was like, I just have no idea where they're going to go with this. Like episode 4, I just remember there's so many theories. Like, is this the end of this universe? Is
right. Well, we even theorized, like, hey, maybe they're just tearing it all down, right? Tearing down the studs.
And it felt like they were just kind of like avoiding the situation. And I was like, this is interesting. And I don't feel any better about where we were at. It's episode 5 at the end of episode 4 is episode 5.
Right.
But, so that was interesting. I was like, I gotta wait a whole other week for this. Yeah. But no, I thought it was really good.
It was great. Beans?
It was good.
You don't have to say it was good just because everybody else says it was good.
No, I just dragged.
How do you really feel?
It dragged a little bit. Because there's like, let's be real, I didn't really care about all of their backstories, okay? The fact that they're just like, hey.
You're so Loki in 2012.
It's just like, I'm just like, what was the real nerdy dude's name?
OB.
No. Not OB.
Casey?
Yes, Casey.
Casey?
They're like, no, that guy's name's Frank. They're like, he just likes to steal stuff. And then they bring him in, he's just stealing random stuff. I'm like, this is funny, but it's like, it has nothing to do with any.
Saul's about to drop some knowledge on you.
Yeah, do you know what I'm about to drop?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's the guy that like escaped Alcatraz. There was like one group of people that did it, and they were putting him like as that, like the guy that actually existed. Like he was the guy that escaped Alcatraz. And the reason he escaped was because Loki pulled him and teleported him.
Oh, right, because they never found him.
Yeah.
Like he escaped, but he was never found, right?
Yeah.
Either living or dead. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Huh, okay. Well,
do you feel better now?
No. But like OB was honestly the best part of the whole, like, easily. Like the fact that he goes and buys his own books off the shelf. It's hilarious. Right? And the fact that he comes back and then Loki's like talking to Mobius. He's like, wait, you figured this out? He goes, well, yeah, well, not really. It took me like 14 months and I lost my wife and my job. No big deal. It's fine. And so, like, that was just very.
Pad that's the size of like Atari.
Right. But like everybody else, I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we finally, and then the end of it, he's like, I figured it out. I'm like, oh, it took you the whole episode.
Get there, bastard.
Exactly. It was like, we know you're gonna be able to master it by the end of the thing, right? And so
you were ready for episode 6.
I was ready for episode 6.
You were ready for episode 6.
It could have went just a little bit faster. It didn't need to be 45 minutes. And then it was the whole like him talking to Sylvie at the bar and be like, "You gotta let him live on." He's like, "Huh?" It's like, okay, whatever. Figure it out.
You know, the next movie we're going to watch and pod on together is going to be How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
You know what?
I'm going to watch your heart grow.
Hey,
that's what's going to happen.
All I'm going to say about that is he had some valid arguments, okay? It's some very valid arguments.
The Grinch?
Yes.
Like what?
You know how annoying it is to, like, the loudness of people sometimes? It's like, quiet down a little bit. That's
top of it.
Like a mile away.
Way far away.
It's a dog. Like it's Christmas all the time down there. Come on, one day, 1 month. I'll give you a month. But like,
Oh, this is fantastic.
did you see their what's-its and their thingy dongers? You know, do you not remember those?
Yes.
Although they're crazy
God
weird
bless
stupid
you,
instruments.
Jesus.
I was saying, if I saw that, I'd be like, well, that's stupid. That shouldn't exist. I'm taking that away. Yeah, absolutely.
You're reminding me so much right now. You are channeling some serious Arnie Simpson from How I Met Your Mother energy when he's talking with Ted about the Karate Kid and about how he resonated the most with the gang of Cobra Kai.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, he loves Cobra Kai. And Ted's like, you understand, like, they were the bad guys, right? No, they were the heroes of the movie.
He got robbed.
Right, he got robbed.
And
That's just
that
very much
Netflix
the
show
very much
came
the energy.
from.
Yes, it's very much the energy. It's so great. Yeah, it was definitely, in your defense, it was definitely a rationing down of the pace and the tempo from what had been a steady build that culminated with the cliffhanger of episode 4 to, and now we're going to take a beat and get to know the people we're hanging out with. So certainly a change of pace, no question. Necessary in the long run. I'm not going to champion it as like, oh, that was my favorite episode or anything like that. But necessary in the sense that there has to be, if we're going to buy into the, hey, Loki and his motives are for his friends and for the people, like that bar scene you referenced, that was necessary for him to have that conversation with Sylvie where she's drawing out of him, why are you doing this, right? Why are you doing this? He doesn't want to be alone. That's a very personal and humanizing thing that, especially when you're talking about this immortal being, right? How are we supposed to relate to a Loki? Like, there you go. That's how you do it. So,
and even, I mean, with the bar scene, like, he doesn't want to be alone, and then it's like, well, you look at, I don't want to jump forward too much, but at the end of episode 6, it's
right.
Like, this dude's committing to an eternity.
And that's right. That's such a big piece of what makes that finale so you feel it, right? Because you have had time to feel it, how much that's not his desire to have the throne, to be alone. So, no question. Yeah. And, freaking Owen Wilson. I could watch that guy in just about anything all day long.
True.
Yeah.
What an absolute,
what happened to his nose?
absolute delight. Like, it's always been broken.
I know.
Literally always.
Does anyone know?
You watch Shanghai Noon from early 2000s, like, broken. He and Jackie Chan. It's already toast. So
I bet he gets more money because of that.
probably.
Like, it's just kind of his brand.
Yeah,
Broken
it
nose.
is. He's
so funny.
He's got it. He's got
wow, dude.
right.
That's true.
Wow.
That's why he says it so weird, is because he can't breathe out of his nose.
Totally him. I will say this too, like,
Wow.
the end of the episode, when you realize that, okay, he has mastered the time slipping, and that's what we're going into episode 6 with. So we'll transition now to talking about episode 6. I was really worried that, frick, it's going to be too easy. Like, he's just going to jump back in time. Yep. Turn this little knob that way, tweak it, and all right, well,
Yeah.
it's done. And so the first thing I'll say about episode 6 was I was just delighted how freaking hard it actually was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was extraordinarily difficult. And as a matter of fact, none of his time traveling actually did him any good, right? It didn't actually have any impact other than he had to learn the lesson of how to actually resolve the issue. But he didn't actually succeed in jumping back to a certain specific point in time, change this circumstance, and behold, it's all resolved. It still ended up in Victor Timely walking out, getting spaghettified, the TVA exploding, and he remains sitting on his throne going, well, all right, time to start over. That's just, it's nuts. So I was really pleased with that, because we were just off of just being relative Avengers Endgame, where they just used time travel, right, to solve the Thanos problem. And yeah, there were some complications, but I didn't want it to be right on the nose again, where it's like, it's just too easy to pull out the time travel card, right? It's just like you're playing Monopoly with someone, and then they're just like, I've been hiding, this 100,000 in my back pocket, suck it. And you're like, this is lame. What was the point of this journey? So there's my initial thought on episode 6. Beans, what about you with episode 6?
What I liked about episode 6, and I think it did such a great job at this, is I feel like now, because if you go back to Thanos, for instance, okay?
Let's do it.
Thanos in Avengers, he gets hinted at that he was behind. He was the one that made a deal with Loki on the story, right?
Right.
And you're like, okay, not bad. He comes into Guardians, and you're like, oh, this dude's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're like, this guy is the guy, right? And so we get He Who Remains. And in the first season, we're like, okay, this guy is just the overseer, but he's not really necessarily coming off as a bad guy. He's coming off as like, he had to do what he had to do.
Sure.
Right?
He's living more in the gray area.
Right.
He's not like obviously villainous. It's just more of a, well, you kind of see what he's doing.
Right. He's a lesser of two evils.
Sure.
Right? In his head.
Yeah, very well.
And so when Loki comes back to that point, and he's just like, so how many times have you done this? And you're like, oh. Because you're like, he knows way more than we thought he knew.
Sure.
And so.
Yeah, because we only got one episode with him.
Right.
Season 1.
Right. And so in season 1, you're like, okay, he's kind of a badass, but you don't really get enough time with him.
Correct.
And in this, you're like, oh, he has a lot more control than we ever thought. And then to build off that, you're like, oh, this guy's a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because he said, like, I'm the guy. Like, you don't want anybody else. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you do this. Like, So I think it just established Kang as finally like, oh, this dude is the threat.
Sure.
Like with Avengers and Guardians, that's when you got Thanos as like, that's the big kahuna. I feel like we're finally at the big kahuna now. Yep. And I'm hoping that opens the floodgates up to all the different variants of Kang.
Right.
Because we've already got the hint at it from like Ant-Man 3 at the end credit. And we've even in Loki season 2, I love how they like ended it. They're like, yeah, it looks like one of them appeared in Universe 616, but it looks like they got it handled for now. Mm-hmm. Meaning, did he actually die?
Sure.
Because it just sounded like he's taken care of,
solve.
But not like gone off the board.
Yep.
Which was great, I think.
Yep.
But they're like, okay, we still got to keep our eye out for all these other ones.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this guy's going to be around.
Right.
So that's what I really like from it. And obviously Loki's great sacrifice towards the end is fantastic. But
your Grinch is showing again.
I know, it was good.
What he did was nice, I guess.
It was good. It was good. I don't have a problem with it. But what I like about that part is it's not like it's over. It's I'm buying time. Mm-hmm. This is not a permanent fix. Mm-hmm. You guys need to figure out what we need to do now. Mm-hmm. And so how long is he going to stand out there? Who's going to take his place? Is anything going to take his place?
Sure.
And I've heard it so many times. I thought it was original when I came up with it, but it's not, because then Will and Susanna said it the other night. I'm like, well, whatever. But it was, we were comparing him to Atlas, right? Because he's just the guy that has to hold it all together. And because I believe is one of the Greek stories, like he tries to get somebody else to take it just for a little bit or something, and nobody wants to take it.
Yep.
Either way.
Yep.
So that's what he is right now. He's holding everything together, and it's just, is somebody else going to come and take it? Or, what are they going to figure out? So, yeah, I think it's great in that sense. I feel like, and that's what I like, Kang is established now, and we're like, ooh, going forward. And I hope that they keep him, because I'm going to be pissy if they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get into that. Sol, let's say you.
Well, first, I thought the 616 reference was to Ant-Man Quantumania.
Right. Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Which, obviously we don't know what happened to Kang there. Really.
They just pretty much just took him off the table, because they never like...
Where did he go?
Right. If you don't see a character die...
It's super open to interpretation, because the Council of Kangs in the end credit scene, one of them says to the other, like, oh, are you upset that you didn't kill him? So could say that he's dead, but there's a lot of other language and opportunity where it's like, he may not actually be dead. He just may be really tiny.
Well, it's just the movie rule of thumb. If you didn't see them physically die on screen, anything's game.
Right. But I mean, other than that, I thought it was amazing. It was like, to me, it was like the best way they could have possibly like pulled everything together.
Yep.
And I thought the timing was great. I thought it was really funny how he's like, how long would it take me to read and learn all this stuff? It's like, what did he say? A couple centuries or something like that?
He's like, how much do you know already? Assume nothing.
Right.
Centuries.
Yeah. And so that was really funny. And I thought it was funny, just like that whole scene, like it brought like a comedy piece of it that we just like don't see that often in that show. But I thought like the end of it, like when he was walking out and he like slowly put on his like original suit, right. I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
Right. And they crushed the visuals with
my God.
It will look
phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Unreal. Yeah.
Finally nailed the CGI.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you guys do that the whole time?
Why haven't you been doing
Oh my gosh.
I saw a clip of somebody who's like watching Loki back in, was it 2013 at the first Avengers movie?
Yep.
They were like watching it when Hulk was smashing him back and forth and he was like laughing and he's like rewatching that scene now and he's like just crying like because he's like, we built a relationship with this guy after all this time. And he's like, that's so sad, don't do that. That's my guy. Yeah. But I just thought it was really good. I thought it pulled everything together. I still have so many questions about like what's going on when it comes to stuff. And even like Renslayer with like the pyramids and then the like on the TVA floor, like there's just so many like little things.
Yeah, there's still unanswered questions, right?
Yeah. Yes. So it's like it's leading to something, obviously. Yeah. So I think that's a cool aspect.
I think that's what bothered me the most is like they leave Mobius just kind of off and you're like, we get nothing of what he's going to do now.
Right, he just go watches himself.
Like, right. You know he's not going to leave Loki out there to just hang. So it's like, what are you going to do? Like, I feel like that could have been his Pamela Khan Young Avengers moment. It would have been so great to see him come out of like a portal and be like,
well, him and Miss Minutes are supposed to be in the Deadpool.
So
which
I don't think we're done with Mobius as a character. I think truly the only character that we could be done with Loki. I don't think we actually are, but if they wanted to, right? If Tom Hiddleston's like, listen, I've been doing this for a while. I need a hot 5 years or more. They could be done with him. I think all those other characters they could realistically bring back. We got to get Steve Quake in. Get us in. What did you think of?
Well, I would ditto everything everyone has said so far. I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think it is the perfect. I was like literally watching it with a comic head, one of my roommates, and he's just like, well, if this way happens, then like this is better for Secret Wars, but if this happens, then like the universe is. He's just like talking out loud. I'm like, okay, let's watch this right now.
Let's enjoy
it. And nothing's happened, and we need to just let it finish. But the ending is like a perfect segue to Secret Wars, and nothing's resolved, like we've talked about. And so there's a lot of opportunity. I think my biggest question, and I don't think it's a pick and knit, but it's more of just like, I was talking to Riley about this. So we see like Loki's like progression of like power, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, he's the god of mischief. And you know, he's got his point with the Thor movies. He's got his point with the Avengers movies, but then he eventually dies to Thanos, and now he holds, you know, the time branches together. And so I'm just wondering, you know, he comes to the TVA like they're like, "Hey, you're dead. Like you're gone. Like this is how you died." And now he's like holding time together. So that was something that, like, obviously he's Loki. And so they can do that. And I don't, like, I'm not mad about it, but I'm just interested in how that'll play out now.
Sure.
I don't know.
Quite the upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, he's only alive because Mobius is like, well, let's not actually like kill this one. Let's capture him. He could probably help us catch this other variant. Truly fascinating how it went from that ground level to, well, you're kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question. I think it'd be really cool. I agree with what you said. I really hope that there's not, we're not tailing away from the Kang piece, because truly what the TVA could become is a bunch of Kang hunters, right? And I think it's not a directly answered question in episode 6, but that's what it feels like their purpose is. They still have a war room, right? So they're still game planning for targets, and they're not trimming timeline branches anymore. And so if they're truly repurposed in the sense of, hey, we're protecting all of time, not just a single sacred timeline, well, what's the threat to all these different branches? It's the Kangs that want to conquer and control, right? And so that would be phenomenal in the sense of how do they want to approach it? They want to incorporate that into movies. If they want to make more seasons, but maybe it's not necessarily Loki season 3, maybe it's a TVA show. And they're hunting different Kang variants while you still have like the prime Kangs showing up in the movies. I think that'd be pretty freaking cool to see.
Well, they're going to need firepower because they're not going to be able to handle Kang. And that's, then you get the Deadpool 3 maybe.
Can't you imagine like Mobius as a recruiter though for like
it'd be great.
The Kang hunters? Like he's popping in different universes and being like, I need this Wolverine. I need this Black Panther. I need this Captain Marvel.
Where's Tobey Maguire?
Like truly, that would be just a perfect role.
Yeah.
Perfect role for him.
Remember, I was talking to you about him showing up with Deadpool, and the jokes to me are just hilarious.
Yes.
Because I can just see him going, ka-chow. Right to him, and be like, what are you talking about? And be like, different variant.
Oh,
different variant, right?
Or just be like, wow. And then he can be like, said the thing. But I'm super,
right?
I think that will be the next best combo for Mobius after Loki. Because Loki is going to be like, was that guy where he's like, you always have to watch him because he's going to backstab you at any turn. Deadpool, he's going to be like, shut up. And it'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, Saul, you mentioned Renslayer. Like that's a very big unanswered question.
Oh my god!
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that she's in the void. Yes, she's not done. Right, and we're not done with her by any stretch of the imagination. One of the unanswered questions that we know that so she was the leader of He Who Remains army.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I gotta believe that she had a part to play in corralling and directing Goliath, right? And so we get that end scene of the purple light. You hear Goliath roar. It's like, is she about to like control Goliath again? And now she's a legit, humongous threat that's still there.
Yeah,
right? I don't think that's the end of her character or her path. By any stretch of the imagination.
Well, and it makes you wonder what other variants are there. Because we've only seen Loki variants.
Right.
And damn well she's not going down that route again.
Yep.
So there's gonna be some other ones down there. I'd be very curious just to see what she handpicks. Because that could be really fun too.
Yep.
Where we get her army versus Mobius's army, and it's like all these evil versions of heroes that we love, and then the heroes that we love.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Okay, so pulling back big picture, did this show, and you can package it with the Marvels movie if you want to, or you can leave that as its own separate thing. But did this show revive Marvel, right? Marvel needed a win. Bad. They needed a banger of a movie or movies, or in this case, the Loki show. And I think it was a tough task to come off of season 1 of Loki, which was truly excellent, and to match and continue to escalate that scale. I think they did that with season 2, but how impactful can this be for Marvel moving forward? Right?
I just feel like we're back on track. Feels like for a while we just got off the rails.
Sure.
Off the railroads. They didn't know where they wanted to go. Train was split apart 5 different ways, and now they're
not
finally
Spider-Man to keep it on the track.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Spider-Man was holding it back, and the webs were breaking, and he got tired. Okay, and so he went to sleep,
as one does,
and he deserved it. Right? They carried him to the back of the train, and like, you know what? You'll come back. Well, we're done with you for a little while. And so then the train split apart. We had Hawkeye. We had. I don't even want to go down that route, right?
Yeah.
But
the Disney Plus shows, it's a good route to go down. You had Hawkeye, you had Moon Knight, you had
that had no direction.
She-Hulk. I mean, you want to go way back. We obviously had WandaVision. You had Falcon Winter Soldier. Now Captain America Winter Soldier. So I feel like the Disney Plus shows started out fairly strong, right? Depends on, different person's going to say, I like the show more than the other and vice versa. But those original 3 shows, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki, that was a strong beginning for Disney Plus shows. And since that time, mixed bag to meh at best. Secret Invasion most recently. My goodness.
They literally have not been able to pick a direction where they went. And it would have been almost more beneficial. And I feel like they're kind of trying to do it with the Disney Plus shows, but they haven't done it great. And it's like trying to build up their street level. Yeah. Because they're kind of trying to do that with Kingpin, I feel like, is making him the Thanos of the street level, which they should do that anyways. But, I think if they would have came out with that direction immediately out of the gate, I don't think they would have had as many problems, because I think they were trying to dip into too many different pools.
Sure.
And they didn't realize there's a lot of piss in a lot of those pools.
That's gross.
I know. It's icky. It's like, look, it's dark blue for a reason. Don't go in there. It's lit up.
Don't go to that
it's
part of
the pool.
No. Avoid it.
Do you just see that kid in there? He looks relieved.
Wow. Incredible.
So, that's my thoughts on that. Somebody else can take it now.
Chiefs, what say you? Was this the revival that Marvel needed?
Oh, I don't know. Because I think there's a good point. Like, Loki, I would debate that Loki and Spider-Man were the end of the era of expectation for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me. And after that, it was just Doctor Strange, Quantumania, some of the movies that followed up, Black Panther 2. I wasn't the biggest fan. So, and those movies are just disappointments. I think I can look forward and be they can do a good show.
Yes.
They need the right character.
Yeah.
And the right series, but I'm not terribly hopeful of them hitting on another show. I am hopeful that they can revive this with Kang, we've talked about.
Yep.
And I think that's the only hope, I guess. And then, we've talked about as well, just incorporating X-Men. I think Deadpool is, you can't go wrong with Deadpool.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is phenomenal.
Yep.
But incorporating some of the Fox players in that too can help.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily a revival, but I think it gives more hope.
Yeah.
For what's to come.
Yeah. Well, you saw.
I had 2 thoughts. One, I think that for the first 10 years, first 4 phases, they had a written down outline of hey, this is what works.
Yes.
So let's just keep doing what works. And then it's okay, well, this doesn't quite work anymore. And now they're finding okay, now we figure out what people actually want to see at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them a long time to get there. But I feel now that they've established Loki's okay, people want to see something like this, something a little bit different. So I think they kind of know the right direction to go now, I feel and what people actually enjoy. And then the second thing was I think I was thinking about this when we were talking about the Marvels. I think our expectations of that movie played a really big part of the outcome of what we feel about it.
Of course.
And so I think
you go into it with high expectations,
right?
Different reaction.
And that's I think right now we've had 12 different things that have continued to knock down our expectations. Now it's we get one good thing, and now it's oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so it's I think maybe this show might not have been as good if it was 5 years ago when we were coming off of Endgame or something like that. So, I think that's a piece of it that is exciting, but also a reality of it is maybe this isn't quite as good as we think it is, but we've just been hit with terrible things
Sure.
the last 5 years. Not that it isn't amazing and a masterpiece, but to say that reviving it is not necessarily the case.
Yeah. To me, it's a chance. It's like in sports. You're only as successful as your most recent game, right? So if you won your most recent game, you're feeling pretty good. If you lost, you're feeling not so great. So they needed a win. And what this has the opportunity to be, in my mind, is it's an opportunity to rediscover the identity of what made so many different movies, at the bare minimum, good, right? Not every Marvel movie has been fantastic. A lot of them have been, but a lot of them have also lived in the, it was good. That's good range. And what's happened the last 2 years has been well below the good meter, right? It's been like, that was sloppy.
Yeah.
And this was tight. It followed the rule of, listen, when you are in a fictional story and you are making up your rules, you have to follow your own freaking rules. And they did that. They paid enough attention to their own rules, and they made it hard on themselves. Like, these are some pretty complex rules, and they changed the rules at different points, but they managed to sync it all up to where it made sense, and they're able to tie it into a whole season ago, right? Mm-hmm. Which is impressive. And as one of you guys mentioned earlier, even the original Avengers movie, it's like, that's a big deal. That is what Marvel did so well over the course of that initial 10-year run, is there was that tight cohesiveness where what came in the future lined up with what had already, we'd already seen in the past. Yeah. And so there's a chance for them to recognize that, we can take our time. And I think that is, it's the bell we've been banging for I don't know how long, of just slow down. You don't have to churn out this large volume of content. Just hone in on the quality and make sure that it is what it needs to be. I remember several pods ago we talked about the Daredevil show getting delayed, and it's annoying as a fan because I want to see the Daredevil show, but if they're delaying it because they're going, this isn't very good, we need to take our time. Good, please take your time and get it right, because I would rather, grow up a little bit and, wait a little bit longer for a TV show that I don't actually need, but I want, and have it be outstanding than for it to be half-baked. Yeah. And that's what I admire the most about this show, is just the craftsmanship, like the detail from the physical set design to the CGI of, like, the loom looked incredible, right? And it's all CGI, but it wasn't just this blob of color. It was like there was definition to it. There was life to it. It made, like, you looked at it and you could understand the mechanics of it as it was explained. It's like, this all makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that is what Marvel did so well, that was so unique. Can they use this? Revive too strong, totally agree. But can they use it as a rediscovery of the identity and go, no, this is a template. We have to take time and make sure that the craftsmanship is being emphasized, not the quantity. Because here's the part that I truly don't understand. Like, why would you be in a hurry to burn through different characters and different storylines? Like, you can take my money for the rest of my living days if you just take your time. I think you're going to be okay on the financial side, right? If you just slow burn this puppy, that's great. And the other thing that I just thought of with this show too is this is real loosely based on the comics, right? Does the TVA exist in the comics? Yes. Did anybody that's not just a huge nerd know about the TVA before this show? No, none of us. And then you're Googling, you're like, it's actually in the comics, you guys. I'll be darned. There's one person going, I knew that. I read that story. And you're going, who are you? No one knew about you before. And so, point is, you can do original stories. And so the one thing that I'm worried about moving forward is they're going, we're going to do Secret Wars. It's like, I don't need you to do a comics run that's based off of a specific comics run. Why don't you just take the characters and make up your own story, please? That would actually be great. Sorry. Just hitting things now.
Calm down.
Heads are falling off.
James.
It's getting ridiculous.
So angry.
And I'm a very rage monster. So that's my hesitation or my concern. There's so much potential with Kang. So much. Can they just lean into it, please? That would be great. So that all this setup can actually be set up and be worth it. Yeah. Because it would truly be a bummer and they could do this. I hope they don't. But if this show has now ended and they're going, okay, we're going to press pause on the Kang thing for a while. Oh, that would truly be
blow it up at that point.
That would be depressing. So hope they're hunting Kang. Hope Kang's a factor. Jonathan Majors is a freak.
She's amazing.
He's unreal. Unreal.
I see, and I think there's hope because they haven't came out and been like, well, Avengers is no longer going to be called Kang Dynasty.
Right.
So if that name changes, then I'd hit the red button.
Yeah.
Because it sounds good.
Yeah. No, but they haven't jumped the gun. They haven't kneecapped themselves by dismissing Mr. Majors yet. So still could happen, I guess. But okay. Anything else on the Loki front, you guys?
That's it.
It's glorious. Okay, so
It's time for a top 5.
it is.
Just kidding. You've been here for an hour and 15 minutes.
You're not going anywhere.
No.
No.
Is it time?
It's
to
time.
wrap?
It's time. Well, instead of, now we're not going to wrap. We're not going to wrap. We got one more thing to do. Instead of the top 5, we are going to each share what we have chosen as our favorite, or it could just be one of your favorites. You can qualify it that way. Scenes from the Loki show. So it could be from season 1, could be from season 2. Take your pick, but a favorite scene from the Loki show. Beefquake, you go first. Then I'll go in Beans and Sol. Take us home.
Well, I have a funny one.
Yes.
I was just going to say the key lime pie scene. It just lights out. All right. No? Okay.
No, the room's
I'm supporting you.
Okay, silence.
Okay.
It's there. It's there.
Yes, key lime pie.
It's gotta make you hungry.
Mm-hmm. Bright green.
I'm trying to think back to season 1. I don't have a great recollection of. I would say probably the most that I was drawn in all of it was the scenes with Kang. So in the first season, when you meet him, you're like I had no idea who Kang was. So I was just like, or I guess he was He Who Remains. So
Right, he wasn't even referred to as Kang.
Yeah. So I was like, who in the world is this guy? So I think that drew me in so much. And that was like, as I recall, like first season was just like so, like you said, tight, just tightly made that it was just like so easy just to like indulge in it. And so I think any scene with Kang, honestly, so the last episode of season 1 and the last episode of season 2, when he's like going back in time and he just keeps going back with Kang, you're just like trying to figure out what in the world Loki's going to do. I think that is just like some of the best stuff we get from season 1 and 2. So
love it. For me, one of my favorite scenes might still be the favorite, but it's certainly one of my favorite scenes is also from season 1, episode 5, the Glorious Purpose episode, first Glorious Purpose episode, because I guess season 2, episode 6 was also Glorious Purpose. Wait, but when classic Loki projects Asgard to distract Goliath and give Sylvie and our Loki the room and the opportunity to kind of gather their powers to take Goliath on. And just, I remember the music like that builds up because at the point that this happens in the scene, you don't know where the frick classic Loki is. Right? You're like, is the guy still around? But all of a sudden, Asgard, this image of Asgard emerges and the music builds and you can see he's just like straining to craft it into the sky. And then as Goliath figures out he's been duped, and it's coming right at him, he just belts out, "Glorious Purpose!" And then he gives a great Loki laugh. And then, boom! Then he's smoked, never to be seen again. It's like, that was awesome. That was a really cool scene. I've watched that one more than a couple times, and every time it's like, yes, you can get it. So that's my choice.
For me, I'm the same way as Dillon, except a different character. And it's my boy Obi, because that was the best addition to the show, period. I'll point out to 2 different scenes. One is when he's talking to Victor Timely, and they're both fanboying over each other. Phenomenal. Okay, just phenomenal on all fronts. And then, obviously, I already talked about it earlier in the pod, is when he's his variant version or his original version, and he's buying his own books, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a great professor at this school, but I want to give it all up and be a writer. I want to be a science fiction writer." And you're like, "Why?" It's fantastic. So
Loki's like, we're doomed.
So I think after this, I think Ke Huy Quan, top 5 like actor, like where if he's in something, I want to watch it.
There you go.
Let's
go.
It'll come up.
I would say for me, there's 2 scenes that come to mind, but in general, like when Loki outsmarts people, I just think it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, they're interrogating, what's his name? B something.
Brad.
Yes.
And they're interrogating Brad, and he's like just going full evil mode, like just using the dial. I don't know, awesome.
Swishing in the box.
Yep.
That's great.
So that was really
Great
fun.
scene.
And then the second scene when he's with He Who Remains, and he's like, how do you know this is the first time that we've had this conversation?
Yep.
And like totally spins the table, and you can see like he goes like, or something.
Yeah. It messes with He Who Remains like,
this is it. This is amazing.
Yes.
So yeah, those are my 2 favorite scenes for sure.
Absolutely. So many great scenes to pull from.
Yeah.
Love it. Well done, boys. Beans, take us home.
Oh, we're wrapping
now.
Oh,
now we're wrapping.
Now
it's time.
that I have your permission.
Now it's time for the Grinch
I
to push the gifts off the cliff.
Yeah, I'm
Do
taking
it.
them home. And I'm opening them and I'm keeping them. Because they're my presents now. That's the difference between me and the Grinch. I'm not giving it back.
Okay. Little eBay action. Make a little coin.
Maybe. It depends on what it is. Some of it just might get burned in a fire pit.
There it is.
Anyways, so
there it is. We brought it back to the flames.
on that note, thank you for Dillon and Sol for being here.
Let's go.
Yeah. And then, on that note,
Get us out of here.
Godspeed.
Peace.